What's up, football fans? Big updates coming your way. You're going to want to stick around for this one. Let's dive straight into the story that's been catching everyone's attention. DeMarvion Overshown, linebacker for the Dallas Cowboys, just made a bold and historic move. After previously wearing the number 13, Overshown is now officially switching to the number 0, the very first time anyone in Cowboys history will wear it. That's right, 0. It's not just a number, it's a whole statement. Fans have been calling him Agent Zero for a while now, and finally, it's official. The double 0 just didn't feel right, didn't carry the weight, and honestly, never made much sense. Now, it feels like Overshown is stepping fully into his identity, and that change? It's more than cosmetic, it's symbolic. It's about a comeback, a new chapter, and a reminder that he's still here, still hungry. But let's not get ahead of ourselves, because while the number change is grabbing headlines, there's something even more crucial going on behind the scenes. Overshown is on the long, demanding road of recovery from a pretty severe knee injury. We're talking a torn ACL, MCL, LCL, and possibly even damage to the meniscus. Yeah, it's as brutal as it sounds. Anyone who follows football knows those ligaments are no joke. This kind of injury doesn't just sideline a player. It tests their mental toughness, their discipline, and their passion for the game. Overshown has been through the ringer before, and if there's one thing you can count on, it's his work ethic. The guy doesn't quit. Now, the big question on everyone's mind is, when is he coming back? Well, nothing's locked in yet, but early projections are pointing toward a possible return in early November. That's not set in stone, and honestly, it's way too early to circle a date on the calendar. Recovery from an injury like this isn't linear. Some days, you're feeling like you're ahead of schedule, and the next, it's like you're starting over. That's just how it goes. But what gives people hope is that Overshown has been visible, vocal, and focused. You can see it in the way he talks to the media and how he carries himself. He's wearing that number 0 with pride, and it represents more than a number change. It shows he's mentally locked in. And here's where it gets even more interesting. Last season, before the injury, Overshown was playing at a high level. In just 13 games, the guy racked up 90 tackles. 90! That's serious production for someone who is still finding his rhythm in the league. He was quick, instinctive, always closing in on the ball. When it came to blitz packages, he was relentless. If anything, his biggest challenge was knowing when to ease off. He'd go so hard that sometimes it would get borderline too much. But that's the kind of fire you want in your defense. His physical tools were always evident. The only question now is how those tools will hold up after this kind of injury. The team knows what they had in him. That's why there's real optimism surrounding his return. There's no denying the severity of what he's dealing with, but everything coming out of Cowboys camp so far has been positive. Coaches, staff, everyone seems to believe that Overshown has what it takes to bounce back. And not just bounce back, but return to being an impact player on defense. That's why fans are being asked to rate their confidence in his comeback. On a scale from 1 to 10, how much do you believe Overshown will return and make a difference in 2025? It's a fair question, and it's something we're all thinking about. Of course, the Cowboys aren't putting all their eggs in one basket. They've got options. Guys like Kenneth Murray, Maurice Leave, Dion Clark, and Jack Sanborn are all in the mix. Buddy Johnson, who made his mark on special teams last year, is still around and could see more snaps. And let's not rule out the draft. With 7 picks coming up on day 3 alone, it wouldn't be shocking if Dallas added another linebacker to the room. Maybe not in round 2, but somewhere in there. It could definitely happen. Especially when you consider how many other needs the team has to address, like cornerback, defensive line, wide receiver, and even running back. So there's depth being built, but make no mistake, if Overshown can return anywhere near his old form, he changes the whole equation. What people tend to forget in moments like these is how valuable a full, uninterrupted offseason can be. Overshown didn't get that last year. It was all about rehab, appointments, watching from the sidelines. But if he's back to full strength by the end of this season, it means he'll finally get a proper training camp. He'll get to grind, focus on improving, get those reps in without worrying about medical clearances. That's huge. For a young player, it makes all the difference in the world. You're not just reacting, you're developing. You're leading. So here we are, A player wearing number 0 for the first time in franchise history. A guy who had all the makings of a rising star, now fighting to get back to that level. The Cowboys believe in him. The coaches believe in him. And based on what we've seen, there's every reason to think Overshown's story is far from over. In fact, it might just be getting started. He's got the heart, the drive, and the focus. And if the knee holds up, we could be looking at one of the best comeback stories of the year. But we want to hear from you. What's your confidence level in Agent Zero making an impact next season? Drop your thoughts, and let's keep the conversation going. Now, let's shift gears for a moment and talk about what's been dominating the Cowboys front office lately. The contract negotiations with one of their key players. You probably already know who we're talking about. 4 weeks now, there's been talk that the team and the player were close to reaching an agreement. But here's the kicker. Those early talks didn't include the player's agent. And let's be honest, can you really say you're close to a deal if the agent isn't even in the room? That's like planning a wedding without the bride. It doesn't count. The truth is, the agent was always going to get involved, and once he did, everything started to feel more serious. That's when timelines began to shift, expectations got clarified, and now we're finally starting to see movement. What makes this situation so interesting is how familiar it feels. Cowboys fans have been here before. This drawn-out dance between player and team, with the media dropping breadcrumbs, insiders speculating, and fans just hoping things don't blow up. But here's the encouraging part. From what we're hearing, both sides actually want to get this deal done. That's half the battle right there. The front office sees the player as a cornerstone. The player, despite the noise, wants to stay in Dallas. And when you've got alignment like that, deals happen. Maybe not overnight, maybe not without a few twists and turns, but they happen. There's even a fan poll running that lets you pick the exact date you think the player will either sign or get traded, depending on how these talks unfold. That alone tells you how locked in the fan base is. People want closure. They want to know if their guy will be leading the charge in a training camp or if the team's about to make a shocking pivot. One way or another, the answer is coming soon. The off-season program is right around the corner. The Cowboys have already made it clear they want their leader there, showing up, setting the tone. But here's the dilemma. Will he actually show up without a new deal in place? That's where things get tricky. On one hand, you've got the team putting public pressure on him, almost daring him not to come. They want him to lead, but how can he lead if he doesn't feel respected with a contract to match his value? On the other hand, his camp might be looking at the situation like, why risk anything until we get security? And honestly, that's fair. This isn't about drama, it's about business. The NFL is a league of leverage, and right now, both sides are playing their cards carefully. Nobody wants to blink first. What we're watching is a classic standoff, but the clock is ticking. And just when you think things couldn't get more layered, another twist hits the radar. Out of nowhere, a major pass rusher drops a cryptic post on social media. No explanation, no details, just one of those classic vague messages that gets everyone speculating. Was it about the Cowboys? Could he be in play for a potential trade? The post dropped like a bomb, and the reactions were instant. Analysts started reading between the lines, connecting dots that may or may not exist. One respected voice suggested that this kind of post usually signals that negotiations are stalling, or worse, breaking down. And suddenly, the conversation shifted from contract talks to trade scenarios. But let's keep it real. The player in question here is TJ Watt. And while the idea of him in a Cowboys uniform would send shockwaves through the league, it's probably not happening. The Cowboys, despite being in the mix on paper, are not seriously pursuing Watt. At least not right now. Still, that doesn't mean the situation isn't worth watching. It absolutely is. The Steelers have a history of tough negotiating, especially when it comes to guaranteed money in the second year of deals. And with the kind of contracts we're seeing lately, guys pulling in massive annual averages and record-breaking guarantees, that becomes a sticking point. It's relevant for Dallas because Micah Parsons is next in line. And you better believe he's watching all of this unfold. Parsons isn't just one of the best defensive players on the team. He's one of the best in the league. And if TJ Watt gets a deal that eclipses Myles Garrett, you can bet Parsons is going on atop that. Same goes for other elite edge rushers like Aiden Hutchinson. There's this unspoken race to see who becomes the highest paid non-quarterback in the NFL. And while Hendrickson probably won't quite reach that level, he's not going to be far off either. The Cowboys are going to have to make a decision. Do they pay Micah Parsons now and lock him in before the market explodes? Or do they wait and risk the price tag skyrocketing even further? History tells us they don't always act quickly in these situations. Sometimes they let things drag on, hoping the market cools down. But that strategy can backfire big time. If you know you've got a generational talent, why play games? Pay him. Secure your future. Because if they wait too long, they might end up paying more than they ever planned. And then there's the Trey Lance situation, which, in comparison, feels like a quiet side note. Turns out his deal isn't worth up to $6 million like some people thought. It's a one-year agreement worth just $2 million. That's pocket change in NFL terms. It doesn't really affect playing time, doesn't impact the comp pick formula unless he somehow becomes a major contributor, which feels unlikely. So while people were debating the implications, the truth is this deal won't move the needle much unless something unexpected happens. The Cowboys are in an interesting spot with their comp pick strategy. They're trying to stay flexible, aiming to bring in maybe one or two more impactful signings. Guys like Solomon Thomas and Javonte Williams are fringe contributors right now in terms of qualifying for compensatory formulas, and unless their playing time jumps significantly, they won't really count. But this is the NFL. Things change fast. A couple of injuries, a few roster moves, and suddenly, those lesser-known names start seeing the field more than expected. So it's worth keeping an eye on how these dynamics evolve, not just through training camp, but into the regular season and beyond. That's the kind of deep roster management that separates contenders from pretenders. You're not just building a team for week one. You're building one that can survive the grind of an entire season. And every decision, from contract negotiations to compensatory picks to depth signings, plays a role in shaping that journey. The margin for error is razor thin. If the Cowboys want to make real noise this year and beyond, they've got to start making these smart moves now, before the pressure really hits. So keep your eyes open, because the next few weeks could define the future of this franchise in ways no one fully sees coming yet. But before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on the Dallas Cowboys. Feel free to share your thoughts on the news in the comments as well. That's the headlines setting the NFL rumor mill ablaze, and fans are spiraling with speculation. Bo Nix, the Denver Broncos' breakout rookie quarterback who just wrapped up an electric debut season, is now at the center of whispers hinting at a shocking move to the Lone Star State. While nothing has been confirmed, the very idea of Nix trading orange and blue for silver and navy has sparked curiosity, excitement, and no small amount of controversy. Nix's rookie campaign was one for the books. From breaking long-standing records to leading the Broncos to their first playoff berth in nearly a decade, he proved he's not just another name in the draft class. He's the real deal. His poise under pressure, dual threat ability, and knack for delivering in high-stakes moments drew comparisons to seasoned veterans. It's no wonder a franchise like the Cowboys, always hunting for the next face of their storied legacy, might be eyeing him as a potential future centerpiece. But why would Denver even consider letting him go? Some insiders suggest tensions over long-term strategy, coaching dynamics, or even cap space concerns could create just enough turbulence to make the unthinkable thinkable. Meanwhile, Dallas, despite their consistent talent, has struggled to find a quarterback who can take them deep into the playoffs. Could Bo Nix be the missing puzzle piece that reignites America's team? Still, this rumor walks a tightrope between fantasy and possibility. For now, it's just noise, but it's the kind of noise that makes you wonder what's happening behind closed doors in front offices. If Jerry Jones is cooking something up, it wouldn't be the first time he's made a headline-grabbing move to shake the league. One thing's for sure, keep your eyes peeled and your ears open. Bo Nix to the Cowboys might sound like a long shot, but in the NFL, long shots have a habit of turning into highlight reels. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the Dallas Cowboys, please subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. We always look forward to your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.